That's why I suck. Well, actually, we can use this opportunity to actually point something out. Like, you want to know something fun, Chronomancer Gamer? You are currently standing at like 700 units out. What does this mean? It means you're not getting any boons or any support from the team. This is absolutely obliterating your potential damage output and rendering you far less effective than you otherwise would be. This is definitely one of the kind of the core mechanics we'll talk about here. But the way the Guild Wars 2 combat system works, we will be standing on top of each other a whole lot because it turns out that boons are incredibly good and you want to have boons all the time. And it also makes things like revival and so on significantly easier. So one of the real key kind of Guild Wars 2 combat mechanics is going to be stacking and basically moving as a unit, staying together as a group. Is one of the real core baseline skills that you have to master. And that's true in all game modes, by the way, is being able to be coordinated and kind of understand what your allies are doing, how to interact with your allies in terms of support to, enhance their damage, enhance your damage, get healed, heal your allies, all this kind of stuff. This is the thing. Of course, this happened a lot during the release of End of Dragons. One of the key things that the community had a lot of difficulty, seriously, this is like most of the community had problems with this, was understanding how boons work, right? The way subgroups work right now. Like, for example, in the squad, what you'll notice is that we have two little mini groups, right? We have one, we have this squad entity, this squad concept, but within it, we've divided it into two. And the reason for that is because our boons get applied to 5 targets almost exclusively, right? Almost all of our abilities apply to 5 targets, right? That applies to our healing, that applies to boons, right? All that kind of good stuff. And as a result of that, we want to make sure that everyone kind of gets a good share of that. So we make sure that we have a quickness provider in each subgroup. We make sure that we have a healer in each subgroup, particularly for instance content, so that our allies can be sustained. And we also just have that good damage output. This is the real bread and butter of Guild Wars 2. And I think it's pretty important to understand what's going on there. And what's going on here is pretty much boons. I need to do a little mini video on this at some point. But you know what a fun fact is? Let me tell you a fun fact. If you go to a DPS golem and you auto-attack on Vindicator with Greatsword, you'll do about 5.7k DPS. Wow. That's a big number, right? But, you know what's something fun? If you do the exact same thing, but you have 25 might, quickness, and fury, you will do 17,500 DPS. So that should give you some perspective on just how unbelievably good boons are. Boons will actually triple your effectiveness quite a lot of the time. And of course, that's only in terms of damage output, right? That's let alone the defensive capabilities, right? Because of course, we also have very powerful effects like protection and stability that obviously massively reduce the incoming damage that we're going to end up taking, right? Which is also like incredibly beneficial for us as a squad. It's pretty good stuff. 5k to 17k, oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's real strong. In general, boons are going to be improving your output again by, kind of 2 times to 3 times in terms of effectiveness. And of course, that's not even including alacrity, right? Because here's another thing, right? Think about what alacrity actually does, and a bit of a mishmash tutorial of things to talk about here, but just if you think about what boons do, they're pretty outrageous. If you look at alacrity, it says, okay, you basically get 20% cooldown reduction. That's 20% more boon output, right, for all of your supports. That's 20% more usage of your healing abilities, because your healer gets cooldown reduction, so they can heal more. That means you can use your defensives, maybe your own heal skill, maybe you've got an invulnerability or a block, 20% more. That's insane, right? It's absolutely incredible that you're able to do that. It just greatly enhances your squad. And this is the absolute backbone of Guild Wars 2 group play. This is why I'll often say on stream stuff like offensive supports are the king of Guild Wars 2 PvE content, the true God Emperor, because you do a whole bunch of damage and you also apply boons, which massively enhance your allies. And, you know, you can think about this from another angle as well. Think about a build like Quickness Herald, the build I'm playing right now. When you play it vaguely correctly, you can be getting, you know, you can be getting 30,000 DPS. You can be pushing 30k DPS on a setup like this. But you're also giving 5 allies quickness, which improves their damage massively, right? Because all of their actions are 50% faster. Right, so that's obviously a huge DPS increase. You're also applying Fury to 5 people, which is, again, a very large DPS increase because you give them 25% extra critical strike chance. If you were to add up how much damage this build actually contributes to the squad, you're probably looking at something pretty ridiculous, something along the lines of like 60,000 DPS, maybe even more than that. It probably is a bit more than that, actually. So imagine a build in Guild Wars 2 that does like 70k DPS. Congratulations, that's Quickness Herald, right? Like, this is the power of Boons, right? This is the power of these supportive effects, right? So this is a really key insight into how the Guild Wars 2 combat system actually works.